Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are unpacking something absolutely huge in the medical world, a highly anticipated breakthrough drug in the fight against hepatitis B. Now, this is a story of incredible boundary-pushing scientific innovation, for sure. But, as you'll see, it's also one that immediately collides with the very sobering ground-level reality of global health inequality. So, let's just get right into it. Okay, to really wrap our heads around this, we need to start with the sheer scale of the problem. When we talk about hepatitis B, we aren't talking about some rare, isolated illness. An estimated 240 million people worldwide are living with a chronic infection right now. I mean, just think about that for a second. That is a staggering portion of the global population quietly harboring a silent viral invader. And well, the stakes of those numbers are tragic. Because left to its own devices, this virus systematically destroys the liver, claiming 1.1 million lives every single year. These aren't just statistics on a page. This is a massive ongoing global casualty count from a virus that we have literally been battling for decades. Now, what makes hepatitis B so insidious is how it plays hide and seek with our defenses, and it really all depends on when you catch it. When adults are infected, usually through sex or shared needles, their mature immune systems can actually clear the virus out about 90% of the time. But for infants, who often catch it via mother-to-child transmission, their developing immune systems just kind of falter. For them, the numbers completely flip. 90% of those infected infants go on to develop chronic, lifelong infections. You might be wondering, why is this chronic infection so incredibly hard to cure? To understand that, we have to zoom way in, right inside the human cell. Once hepatitis B gets in, it actually embeds its own DNA into our chromosomes and forms something called cccDNA. Think of this as an intractable miniature chromosome. It effectively hijacks the host's liver and turns it into a permanent, unauthorized viral factory. And because that cccDNA is so stubbornly dug in, getting what doctors call a sterilizing cure, which literally means wiping out every single trace of viral DNA from the body, is, quite frankly, nearly impossible right now. So researchers aim for the next best thing, a functional cure. This just means helping your body push the virus down to such low levels that your own immune system can naturally suppress it forever, without you needing to take lifelong medication. Right now, the main weapons we have in our arsenal are daily medications, commonly known as nukes. And they keep the virus at bay, sure, but here's the catch. They are effectively a lifelong commitment. If patients stop taking these daily pills, well, less than 1% can actually keep the virus under control on their own. The virus just bounces right back. Which brings us to a totally different, game-changing approach. Standard nukes basically work by throwing defective building blocks into the virus's DNA assembly line to jam up the machinery. But this new experimental drug from GSK, called bepirovirsen, or Bepi for short, is an entirely different beast. It's an antisense illegal nucleotide. So instead of just jamming the machinery, it acts like a targeted assassin, taking out the virus's messenger RNA instructions before the assembly line even turns on. Let's look at exactly how this plays out on a microscopic level, because it's basically a highly coordinated attack. First, Bepi binds directly to that viral messenger RNA, effectively blockading the virus and preventing it from manufacturing essential proteins. This then triggers the outright destruction of the viral RNA. And as a really powerful bonus, it acts like an alarm bell, waking up the body's own immune system to join the fight. It's a highly sophisticated 1-2 punch. Okay, so how did this actually perform in the real world? Well, researchers put this to the test in massive phase 3 trials, and the results were just published in the New England Journal of Medicine. They tracked over 1,800 participants across 29 different countries. The regimen went like this. Patients added Bepi shots to their standard daily nuke pills for 24 weeks. Next, they did 24 weeks of just the standard pills alone, and then came the ultimate test. Researchers stopped all treatments entirely, basically stepping back to see if those newly invigorated immune systems could hold the line on their own. And the results? Honestly, they were remarkable. Exactly 6 months after stopping all treatment, 19% of the patients who received BPIP achieved that highly coveted functional cure. They were naturally suppressing the virus. To put how huge that is into perspective, in the placebo group, the people who just took the standard drugs, the number of people who achieved a functional cure was exactly 0. But wait, it actually gets even better when you dig into the data. For a specific subset of patients, those who entered the study with low levels of viral surface proteins, that functional cure rate jumped up to an unprecedented 26%. And it's worth noting here that while side effects were pretty common, they were rarely severe. We are literally looking at a quarter of this subgroup walking away from a lifelong chronic infection without needing daily meds. You have to understand, going into this trial, researchers were crossing their fingers for maybe a 10% success rate based on earlier data. Bepi absolutely blew past that expectation. As Fabian Zalem, a leading hepatologist, put it, this is a long-awaited milestone in the journey toward curing HBV infection. It's just a thrilling moment for medical science all around. All right, time for a quick reality check. Because in science, we always have to look at the boundaries of a breakthrough, right? This specific trial only included patients whose disease was already relatively well controlled. They had no HIV and no advanced liver scarring or cirrhosis. That means Bijusi's effectiveness for the millions of patients out there with much more difficult advanced cases, well, it remains a complete unknown. And zooming out from the clinical data, there's a much bigger, much tougher global picture we have to face. While this drug is undeniably a scientific marvel, the World Health Organization estimates that a staggering 73% of people globally who have hepatitis B don't even know they are infected. And you simply can't cure a disease if the patient doesn't even know they have it. Actually, it gets even more challenging. Out of that tiny slice of people who actually do get diagnosed, fewer than 5% currently receive any treatment at all. This highlights a massive, structural global access gap. We can engineer the most sophisticated drug regimen in human history, but that alone isn't going to automatically fix the deep inequalities in global healthcare infrastructure. This massive gap is exactly why experts like hepatologist Anna Locke are emphasizing a broader perspective. They're saying, look, beekeeping is incredible, but pharmaceutical companies really need to break down their silos and collaborate more. A true universal cure for the broader global population is almost certainly going to require combining multiple different drugs in a multi-pronged approach, rather than just relying on one single magic bullet. So what should you take away from all this? Well, the immediate next steps are regulatory. GSK has already submitted this phase 3 data to regulators across the US, Europe, Canada, Japan, and China, and some approvals are actually expected later this year. But the real long-term tests are just beginning. We need to see if this functional cure truly lasts a lifetime for these patients, and crucially, we need to see exactly how GSK is going to price this drug for both wealthy and resource-limited nations. Which really leaves us with one massive, critical question to chew on today. As we rightly celebrate this incredible boundary-pushing scientific breakthrough, how do we ensure this life-saving innovation actually reaches the hundreds of millions of people currently fighting a silent epidemic in the dark? Science has given us a powerful new weapon. Now the world has to figure out how to get it into the hands of the people who need it the absolute most.